So this month, we are focusing on forgiveness based on this wonderful book called Forgive for Good. And today's topic is forgiveness as a healing practice. So I want to talk about something that probably every single one of us has done, and some of us might have even done this morning. It's the habit of telling the same story over and over, right? You know the one where you were hurt, the one where you didn't get what you want or you were wronged, the one where someone didn't see your worth, value you, or respect you, the one that still makes your stomach tighten or your chest burn. This is what Dr. Fred Lexington calls a grievance story. It's a narrative that we repeat to make sense of our pain, but it ends up keeping us stuck. So today we're going to look at forgiveness as the healing practice to get us out of that habit and unstuck. Are you with me? You interested in that? Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what forgiveness is and what forgiveness is not. Always want to lay this foundation because there's a lot of different ideas around this idea of forgiveness, many rooted in religion and other philosophies. So, to be clear in the context of what we are talking about today, forgiveness is not saying that what happened was okay, right? And forgiveness is not the same as reconciliation. So, for example, if your church or your family has hurt you, told you you were anything less than, or disowned you because you are queer, LGBTQAI++, etc., it's not about forgiving them in order to remain in relationship with them. Forgiveness is not about belittling or changing yourself to fit in someone else's story. It's about not making the meaning of what they said or what they may falsely believe about you be true, right? It's not accepting their story about you. It's not taking on the meaning that you are bad or wrong. Forgiveness is about forgiving yourself the gift of remembering who you are. Forgiveness is about forgiving yourself the gift of knowing who you are, standing in your power and your unique expression as a divine made manifest. Forgiveness is about forgiving yourself and giving yourself the gift of knowing who you are. So forgiveness as a healing practice is about our inner work. And it's the opportunity to know and to love yourself so much that you can stand in your truth and reclaim your power. And you may or may not choose to be in those places or spaces again. And that is not a sign of whether or not you have forgiven. The sign is if you can stand tall and strong in the knowing of who you are and walk free wherever you want to be. Right? Get the difference? And so your forgiveness practice may look like choosing to not be in a certain relationship or in a certain space again. But the difference is it's not carrying that story with you. It's about freedom. It's about choosing not to be in those places or spaces, not out of judgment or bad or retelling the story. Why? It's loving yourself so much to know that my vibration just doesn't match that vibration. It's just a fact. So I'm going to go where I know I am loved and appreciated because I radiate who I am so much. So this week, there was the celebration of Build. So you're going to be hearing more and more about Build as Ahava has officially joined last fall. Build stands for Building a United Interfaith Lexington through Direct Action. Many of you were there at the rally in which we made requests from our council members for things that we can do to improve the lives of our citizens in our community. And so this week, the celebration was for all of those who had participated in some way, who had shown up at the rally, invited people. And part of the celebration, it was the first time I'd been there, I didn't know, they do awards. And so I was so grateful to be there because next thing I know, Ahava Center is being called up to give the Excellence in First Year Award. So give it up, y'all. And I'm tying this in because that night, I felt so free to be me, even though many of the other faith communities in Build are not open and affirming like we are. Yet, they all stand for justice. So we come together with that agreement, and I choose to participate in this organization because of the good it's doing, and there's no outward hate or discrimination, but I just know, right? Like I know if I go and research or show up at some of these churches, it would not be a place that I would vibrate with. Yet, I walked up to the front to receive our award in all my rainbowness and my silliness and noticed that even a handful of years ago, perhaps, I might not have been as comfortable doing that. I would go into a space thinking, who is the audience, so to speak, and how can I shape myself to not stand out or to fit in, right? And now I just show up as who I am. And part of that process is because of allies. I have allies in this movement. I stood with 4 of them yesterday, white, cis, straight men, fellow pastors and clergy, up front at the No Kings rally, all wearing rainbow stoles. And because of them, I felt safe to be there. Right? So forgiveness is about releasing the stories and the judgments that we make of ourselves and the ways that we separate or other in order to love ourselves so fully. And it takes time. And as I said, some spaces, some places, some relationships may not be safe to return, and that's okay. It's not about going back to the relationship, the job, the community, the family that wounded you. The work is to notice our judgments and to practice discernment and let ourselves off the hook. So noticing our judgments, meaning the judgments that we may have internally that may be so deeply embedded that we don't even realize until we're confronted with something, of how we may still be holding on to some judgments about ourselves or some identity. But it's also letting go of the story of holding the resentment about the other and those who may have stories and false information and beliefs about who we are. Because if I just stayed in the loop of all those who thought or believed something was bad or wrong, or that I was somehow going to hell or a sinner because of the divine way that I was born, it would keep me stuck, right? So I'm not fighting against something, I'm standing for something by simply being me. You get the difference? Forgiveness. I just love that, right? It's forgiving. What is it for? Who's it for? So the work is noticing those beliefs and judgments, practicing discernment. So the discernment comes in with listening to our inner guidance, trusting our wisdom to not be in a space or place that perhaps is unsafe, but listen to our inner guidance to see how and when and where we want to show up and be who we are. And it's not about hiding. Just because there may be some spaces you choose not to be in, that's their loss. It's not about hiding. You show up who you are fully in the places and the spaces where you can. The places and the spaces where you have the influence and the power and the love and the allies. Forgiveness is not about them, it's about you, and it's about your own freedom. It's about choosing not to give your pain the starring role in the story of your life. It's about not making meaning out of what someone else said or falsely believed about you. So, if you notice yourself caught in that loop, telling yourself that same story, having a conversation with someone who's not even there, but in your mind, they might as well be, because you're feeling the, right? How, you're not alone. We obviously, right? That laugh, that murmur was like, oh, I've done that, right? So, Dr. Luskin lets us know that we all tell stories. And it's a way of trying to make sense of our experience. But the question we must ask ourselves is, are we telling stories that free us or stories that keep us stuck? He says, there is no one true story, only many points of view, right? So our stories reflect our perspective and shape our emotional reality. If we go into a space with judgment, looking for something, we will find it and we will see it. If we walk into a space with open heart and love and the vibration of oneness and wholeness, we will experience that and we will see it. The same two people can walk into the same space with their different perspective and see two totally different things, right? I've experienced that from conversations with people. Like, were you even at the same place? Like, that's not what I got from it. That shows us we're all in our own little worlds, having our own little experiences. And that's why it all comes back to our own inner work and our own practices. What we choose to hold on to let go of, what we choose to notice, to pay attention to. So, we are doing the work of releasing our grievance stories. The first week I talk about those big boulders. If you're hiking and you're picking up the stones and you're carrying that weight, then over time certain stories become a grievance and they become like a big boulder that we almost become attached to, that we can't imagine ourselves without. The opportunity this month, the opportunity that we're going to explore next week at the workshop is how to release our grip on those grievance stories in order to be free. If we say things like, they never appreciate me, they always, never, those words are keys right there, right? She ruined my life. I was betrayed. I'll never trust again. All men are blank. These statements are signs that we might have a grievance story to unravel. Yeah. So, if you notice yourself having some of these judgments, some of these grievances, I invite you first just to love yourself. Invite in some space and grace for yourself because something occurred that was hurtful, that was harmful, and that inner little beautiful child within you did everything it knew it could to protect itself. But now you're a full grown adult. And you can stand tall and strong in your own power and love and wisdom and know that you are backed by a whole community. Yes? We got your back. So if you're ready to let go of those stories and to experience a new story, let me hear you say yes. Yes. Let me hear you say, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. Okay. So we can change the story. We can tell a story that still honors the pain but doesn't give it permanent power. Right? Instead of I was betrayed, we might say, look how resilient I am. Instead of I was hurt, it was that song I keep coming back to, and I've had them sing it twice this year already. I didn't know my own strength, right? Wow, I didn't know how strong or how powerful I was until I experienced something I thought would take me out. Instead of they took something for me, we might say, I have grown in ways I have never imagined. These are ways of reclaiming our narrative. It's not spiritual bypassing, because it's not just saying, that didn't happen, it's all good, it's all good. It's looking at it and saying, that transformed me because I was willing to do the work and be a space for healing and love and forgiveness so I can stand even stronger on the other side and be a guide for others. That's the difference. Reclaiming our narrative. Let's see. It all just went away. I was trying to decide how much I want to go into here. So I'll tell a story that was introduced in this book. So let me introduce you to Renee. She was a woman that was hit by a car while biking and suffered immense physical trauma, so much that she never fully healed with her being able to walk and move and ride the way she did before. But instead of living in her grievance story, she chose to do the work, to heal, to open up to compassion, and to take that pain and experience and to transform it into her life and into her work. So she now works with people and others in pain, but not from a place of bitterness, but from a place of love. And imagine the healing that she is then creating, that ripple effect of sitting with someone instead of about their story of how they were hurt, but to show how you can transform your pain and be a blessing for others. We get to rewrite the script. What is the divine inviting you to write as the author of your next chapter? If your soul came here, what if your soul came here not just to experience the joy and bliss and everything being easy peasy, but to transform pain into power? What if part of your journey is to experience loss in order to know an even deeper love? What if part of your journey is turning trauma into testimony? That is the work of forgiveness. It's the work of freedom. You are not the story your ego keeps repeating. You are a radiant, resilient, powerful co-creator of your life, and you get to choose. So I'm going to invite us to close with a little practice. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, and just move into a place of connecting with the breath. Maybe even placing your hands on your heart. Simply breathing. And think of a story that you've been telling, maybe for months or years, or maybe it's just something that happened the other day, but you just can't seem to let it go. Just allow that story to come to the forefront of your awareness. And then ask yourself gently, what part of this story am I ready to see differently and release? To ask yourself, is there any meaning I have made of this story about me? And if so, tell yourself the truth of the love and the power, the beauty that you are. Ask now, what truth might Spirit want me to see in this situation? And be open to hear and to allow it to be revealed how you might transform this story from a place of hurt to a place of healing and power. Let Spirit within you whisper a new narrative. Take another deep breath. So remember, forgiveness doesn't change the past, but it does change the future. And in this moment, you have the power to create the next. So let's start telling stories that set us free. Yes? And so it is. Let's pray. So grateful to recognize the one life that is love, the one life that is wholeness, that is freedom, this divine presence, that is the energy source of all things, the very essence and nature of life itself. Knowing that this one life is all that there is, I know that it is expressing in, as, and through me, in, as, and through all, as love, as wholeness, as freedom. So from this place of oneness, I choose this day to claim my power, my inherent beauty and glory for being all that I am here to be, just as Spirit made me. I claim and know that I am free, that no story out there can dictate my life. I get to choose. I get to walk in the power of forgiving the gift of love and freedom to myself. I choose right here, right now, to remember who I am, to know that I am the beloved of the beloved. I wake up, I remember, and I walk in power, backed by the entire universe, sourced by life itself, to express, to be fully free, fully me in this world. I am so grateful. I'm so grateful to know this truth, so grateful to walk in the healing power of forgiveness. I give myself this gift this day. And with great gratitude, I release this word now into the action of the law that always says, yes, my beloved, it is done and it is so. And together we say, and so it is. Yes.